Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden.
Where we continue to follow the capture and killing of Osama bin Laden now.
Those are just some of the scenes overnight as thousands of Americans gathered in celebration of Osama bin Laden's death.
Former Navy SEAL Rob O'Neill says he has thought about the mission every day since that May Day in 2011.
For multiple conversations you had with Rob O'Neill over the past year and a half, how'd you get
access? And you described that his head kind of exploded when you hit him.
I actually hit him 3 times because I shot him twice when he was standing and once on the ground.
That is the fucking American badass right there. Go, go, go.
We are not going for fame and we are not going for bravado. We are going for the single mom who dropped her kids off at elementary school on a Tuesday morning, and then 45 minutes later she jumped to her death out of a skyscraper.
If you need help, hang up and then dial your operator.
I'm Rob O'Neill, and this is the Operator Podcast. Okay, we're back now. Episode 124 of The Operator. I'm your host, Robert J. O'Neill, former U.S. Navy SEAL. I've mentioned before why we call it The Operator, because you're an operator and I want to hear from you. And the best way to get in touch with me is on the gram, at The Operator Podcast. Go there, tell me your comments, what you think, if I'm right or wrong, and I will listen. Put the comments in there, give me some ideas to talk about or tell me how I screwed up, and I'd like to hear about that. Also, at Mchooyah, M-C-H-O-O-Y-A-H on Instagram or X or Rumble, all that good stuff. And I don't necessarily read the comments on X, but I can if you talk nicely to me. Lots been going on though lately. I just launched a cannabis company, Operator Canna Co, which is a little bit of like almost Navy speak for Operator Cannabis Company. Because like in the Navy, we do weird shit like that. Like Command Naval Special Warfare Development Group will be Com, Nav, Spec, War, Dev Group. And they think that makes it easier. And it does when you get used to it after, a solid decade in the Navy, you get used to that stuff. The Navy loves abbreviations. The Army loves acronyms. The military loves all that shit because eventually, if let's say you come up with something new on a PowerPoint slide and you can spit out an acronym that no one's ever heard before, you're going to get a medal. And that's awesome because lately I've been hearing veterans bash other veterans about medals. So don't badmouth my PowerPoint medals, by God. And it was actually fun. And that happens a lot too. Same with the rules of engagement. Same with if we just stick around in theaters of war long enough, people are going to try to get awards for the weirdest shit. Especially when wars are dying down. Man, they're going to try to get over there. Look, I skipped the war, but I can still make it to the green zone. Get me a quick army commendation or something. I'm messing around. They're all heroes. Everyone's a hero. Everyone's an operator, though. That's true. I'm speaking in jest because it's I'm having fun with it. But yeah. Well, even in the military, I had a guy one time. I had a kick-ass Ranger officer. This was my first deployment to Afghanistan. So we were living in a safe house in J-Bad. The locals would call that Jalalabad City. And, really nice in the summertime. By that, I mean it's a complete fucking shithole. Used to be nice. It used to actually be a resort place. Like you could go there to the Konar River. Europeans used to go there. It was really cool. And then, if you can imagine, Islamic Revolution. Thanks a lot, Sharia, for ruining a good time for everyone. Not everyone. The guys in charge are having fun. Ladies, not so much. Queers for Palestine wouldn't have fun in Sharia law, but they sure do protest about it because they're dumb as shit. That's what they do. What was I getting at? Oh, yeah, Jalalabad City. You know what? To be fair, a lot of people in Afghanistan were very welcoming. They, honest to God, were. It's a weird place to go. It's one of those places if you've been there, but your buddy hasn't, and he asks you, how is it? You just have to tell him, you got to see it yourself because it's a different world. And I think a lot of that has to do with not seeing women your entire life. That and, getting raped as a boy by your uncles. That also puts a damper on things. But the people weren't bad. They weren't used to seeing white boys like me. They have a different look over there than we do. White dude, red hair. But now, to be fair, a lot of the Afghans have red hair too, because the Russians did a lot of that cross-pollination while they were invading. So I guess they did see guys like me, but I even to the point where some of the Afghans that we were actually recruiting Afghans to be security, because the way you actually win hearts and minds isn't by cookies and tea. Hire them, let them do stuff. We hired plumbers, we hired electricians, we hired cooks, we hired security, because when it all comes down to it, a lot of people will work for the almighty dollar. Over there too, their tribes are most important. Islam is very important. Money's important though too, and you can buy people off. I recruited dudes that didn't know how old they were. They looked 70. They said they were 25, but they also fought the Mujahideen in the 80s, so they didn't really know what's what. And again, they didn't know what the number 5 was, but they could tell you all 5 of their brothers' names, shit like that. But anyway, the point I'm making is we were in Afghanistan. I was with this Ranger officer, and that was pretty cool too, because it doesn't really matter which branch of service, and it doesn't really matter officers enlisted, general officers, senior enlisted. If you get good leaders, which I'll bash everyone now and then, but I was fortunate to have really, really good leaders, actually in every branch. One of the best deployments I ever had was in 2007 in Baghdad in the summer. And that was good because my boss, my troop commander, Rich, I got to get him on here too, Rich Davini. The Attributes is his book. Read that too. I'm jumping all over the place, but he was one of the best leaders I've ever had. Rich was. And he was able to check his ego, because we were sent, a small group, not even a troop size, of SEAL Team 6 guys from Red Squadron were sent there, and he volunteered. Instead of being arrogant and saying, we're not going to work directly for the Army, he said, hey, I will work directly for the colonel who's in charge of Delta over here, the Delta Force guys. And that's just a cool move. And then the Delta Force commander was a badass. I mean, it goes without saying, he's a badass. So they were able to utilize us the way they wanted. We were able to work the way we wanted. We had an agreement because of the good leadership that was in charge at the time. And people change the way they act once they get out of the military, out of the Army, and get into politics. They're going to switch it up. But at the time, everyone was awesome, and we were all on board with killing Al-Qaeda. And it was good. I was talking about good leaders are everywhere. My boss was awesome. The Delta boss was awesome. We had the best summer basically of my life. And then my daughter was born at the end of it, not in Iraq. I did fly back to the States to watch her, just because my wife and I made a decision that maybe we won't have her born in Fallujah General. I just heard the emergency room's got kind of a wait. But anyway, I worked with these. We were living in a safe house in Jalalabad, Afghanistan. And the way a safe house works, again, money. $1 million in a briefcase weighs 33 pounds. So you go there and you buy property. I didn't buy it. I came into it later, but some guys before me bought this. I think it would have been a hotel. It was, it looked like a little motel. 2 stories in some places, rooms with adjoining shitters, which was cool because Afghanistan, I mean, you're lucky to have a shitter in Afghanistan because, well, the nice thing about Afghanistan is the freedom. You can shit anywhere. And they do. But we had shitters, but you can't flush toilet paper, so you had to get used to the sweet stench of poo in the little red trash can next to the toilet. So you wipe where you need to, and then you throw it in there, and then that sits in the hot Afghan sun in a red trash can until someone you hired for hearts and minds empties that out for you. But we were there. We lived with a couple SEALs, a EOD guy, stud. And this is when our explosive ordnance disposal guys went through Green Team with us. So they're shooters, but they're bomb guys, and they're just badasses. And we live with Rangers. So the actual dude in command was a Ranger major, and then his XO, I guess, would have been a captain. And they're in charge of the Rangers who lived at the airfield. We lived out there, and the Rangers stayed with us because just kind of a separation, I guess, between the O's and the shooters, and they could stay with our head shed who was there, and we all got along. It was great. I mean, my first time working with the Rangers, love Rangers. I hope you're never in this position, but if you get in a gunfight in an urban environment and you have buddies who are Rangers and you start to hear them going hot, you're going to have a good night because the Rangers are badass. But I'm getting to a point because we started off with Operator Cannabis Co, went into ComNav Spec Corps Dev Group. Now we're talking about acronyms. The point I was getting at with how much the Army loves acronyms, me and this officer, we a little bit of downtime and over a Heineken or two, and the monkeys that run around. Not even kidding, like monkeys and a couple Heineken. Because I'll tell that story at a different time too. Because obviously, general order number 1 is no alcohol in country, and by God, we abide by rules. But over said beverage and some monkeys they would steal your beer. Yeah, I got pictures of monkeys. I think I posted one. I'll do it again. Let me know in the comments. The point I'm making is we were discussing how people get promoted when they come up with new shit, and the way to do that is come up with an acronym on PowerPoint that no one had heard of. And if you come up with that, maybe people will think you're impressive because you came up with some shit. Because they love PowerPoint. The military loves PowerPoint. To the point where, like, I had to tell people, look, there's a rule of 5s. Maximum 5 sentences per slide, maximum 5 words per sentence. Nobody wants to see a bunch of bullshit and be read to. They're not going to pay attention. But if you can throw in an acronym or an abbreviation that no one knows and get away with it, it almost turned into a game. So what this captain did, his name is Josh. He said, I'm going to make an act because the big general, this is in Afghanistan, JBED 2005. The big general's coming down here and we're going to brief him. And my plan, and when we brief him at our place, it is it's in a living room, like where we watch The Shield and eat goats. I mean, they've been cooked in a hole by a man in hairy feet. I mean, we're not animals, but you eat the goat. And anyway, we'd be briefing him in there. PowerPoint's going to be up on the flat screen TV where we watch The Shield. That's just how it is. So it's going to be an intimate brief. But what Josh told me is I'm going to brief the general and I'm going to put in an acronym or an abbreviation if you want to get technical. And it's going to say SFA. And I'm going to mention it 3 times during the brief. And it's a brief of what we're doing in country and the mission and the men and troops and hearts and minds and all that shit. But I want to see if anyone, including the general, stops me to ask me what that means. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Whenever you're in a room and someone gives you a brief or a class or anything, and if you don't understand something you might need to understand, and they say, are there any questions? People rarely say they have questions because they don't want to be singled out. I mean, I would rather have a question than get screwed up on some safety thing because I didn't want to ask because I didn't know. So just don't be afraid. But anyway, no one's going to ask what SFA stands for because nobody wants to be that guy, especially in front of the general. And the general's not going to ask because he doesn't want to seem like he doesn't know everything. So Josh is briefing them. It's funny. He says SFA a couple different times in the brief. And obviously we're talking about different stuff, but SFA came up 3 times. It was funny. No one asked. I didn't ask until the end. So the thing's over. The general leaves with his entourage. Obviously someone else carrying his luggage because he is a general. He doesn't even carry a gun until he needs one. But then he needs an enlisted guy to make sure like the sights are on the right way and everything. You know, that old chestnut. You ever see that Navy post where captain of the ship had the scope on backwards? I think they're still getting shit. If you follow the Navy, big Navy, get your shit together, Navy. Anyway, it's not necessarily the CEO's fault of a ship. The skipper doesn't need to know that. He should as a grown man, but, you know, kinder, gentler Navy. The gunner's mate's fault. Make sure or is the gunner's mate just funny? Watch the CEO go up there, get a kick-ass picture for All Hands magazine, and then shit's on backwards. No one will notice but me, and everyone noticed. But anyway, so Josh gets done with the thing, and he said, I go, hey, for me, Captain, what does SFA actually stand for? And he goes, oh, it's simple. It stands for stupid fucking acronym. And nobody ever asked me what it means. So that's the whole point there. But Operator Cannabis Co is the company. We're going to talk about that too because I get into psychedelics for PTSD, for anxiety, for normal people. So at the operatorcanna.com, we've come out with 3 new strains. And ideal, it's going to be to help with post-traumatic stress, anxiety. For me, it's sleep. Good stuff. I'm going to explain what they are in a minute. Since I took a week off because I had to fly I went down to Florida to talk to some places down there and to see some dispensaries and some nurseries where they're growing these glorious plants. But I do need to talk about our sponsor, whom I love, by the way, because I tell you about My Patriot Supply all the time. Every week I tell you about them because it's very, very important. Preparation is so important for surviving anything. It's not the plan that you make, and it's not the thing you worry about that you think is going to get you. It's the random thing that shows up like, I don't know, a pandemic on a Wednesday afternoon. All of a sudden, we're locked in our houses for years. But with this fluid environment, the question we're asking is how well do you sleep at night? Speaking of sleep, real peace of mind comes from knowing your family is prepared for anything, and that's My Patriot Supply. My Patriot Supply, America's most trusted name in emergency preparedness. They are offering for a limited time a discount on their best-selling 3-month emergency food kit. Now, pay attention, because I give these to all my family members and a lot of my friends across the country. This is not your typical survival food. Each kit provides over 2,000 calories of 100% of the recommended value of 12 essential vitamins and minerals daily for 90 days. If you do the math, that's 3 months, the emergency food kit. And these are delicious meals, and I mean delicious. And there's extras, including chicken, beef, fruits, veggies, all that stuff that you love. And we're talking high-quality meals that last up to 25 years in storage, and they still taste like home-cooked meals. You can go buy this stuff, put it in the corner in your garage. It's good for 25 years. You're going to need it. The pandemic, the lockdown, taught us how quickly store shelves can empty. Do not wait for the next crisis. Your 3-month emergency food kit for you and your important family, and even your unimportant family, includes free shipping, a disaster replacement warranty, don't need to count on FEMA, and 24/7 USA-based support. This special discount is available for a limited time. Visit my website, preparewithrob.com. Go to preparewithrob.com. Just go look at it right now to secure your family's future with a $100 discount. If you order by 3 p.m., they'll ship your order within the same day, so you have peace of mind right away. And I'm being serious. Go to preparewithrob.com. Preparewithrob.com. Go check it out. Keep your family ready. Ease your mind. Be prepared for anything. Yeah, but let's talk cannabis, because we have talked psychedelics before, and I'm so pro psychedelics because they come in a different range. You've heard me speak before with guests about ibogaine, about 5-MeO-DMT, about psilocybin, MDMA, things like that, and they're all a little bit different. They're all a little different slice for what will help you. My personal favorite, even though it's terrifying, is I think the combination of ibogaine, Reiki, a night of sleep, and then 5-MeO-DMT with the fruit and the ocean and the butterflies. The combination is my favorite, and it works. But other people like psilocybin. The Beatles did. They wrote great albums on that stuff. And even back in the day when LSD was getting tested, the big government was against it because that was like the anti-war hippie movement, because a lot of people didn't want to go to Vietnam because, I don't know, who wouldn't want to stop the spread of communism, because that's where, but they were using LSD, and that was like a free thinking type way. But the military industrial complex obviously decided that, remember the scene in Forrest Gump when the dude in the American flag is up there and he's giving his speech, and then the guy behind, the general comes down, he starts tearing the stuff out, and you can't hear a word he's saying. The fascist. That guy doesn't want you taking LSD, because that's the military-industrial complex. They don't want that stuff. They don't want you to think. But anyway, different things work for different people, and it's not just opiates and booze. It's not just big pharma. There are ways to help yourself, especially with anxiety. My big thing, I have a lot of problems, but one of my issues is sleep deprivation, because either I am trying to think of new shit, or my mind's wandering, or I'm thinking of scary shit, or doing whatever, watching TV and don't stop looking at my phone. And not that I'm against Ambien, I love it, but that's what I was doing forever. And to a point where I'm taking it to the point where I can't sleep without it, which is not healthy. Unless you're big pharma, they love it because someone's getting paid. So with cannabis, I'm able to sleep. I sleep well. Like my routine is at night is, take a hit of the cannabis. For me, I do like to use indica, which with Operator Cannabis Co, that's the healer. And the indica is, it's a mellow high for when you want to relax. We call it the healer. We say after a long battle, after a long day. That chills me out. I'll usually take some of that and then rock maybe 2 episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, fall asleep like an angel, depending on what my baby wants to do, because I could be up for a while. Because sometimes, she's in her crib, but she wants to wrestle. And she's 1 year old, by God. When a 1-year-old wants to wrestle, you wrestle her. And she wins, so that's cool. But it's helped with my sleep. It helps with a lot of things. And what we've done at Operator Cannabis Co with this is we've partnered up with some of the best, most experienced cannabis growers in New York right now. And I got my license. Took a while, but we're legal in New York, and now we're in Manhattan. Did fly to Florida to work with a company. I'm working in Manhattan with a company called The Flowery. So Upper West Side, Soho, and then we're down in Staten Island, hopefully getting into a few other ones where you can go check them out. If you're in the New York area, go to the Flowery and check out you'll recognize the operator because it's the 3 brands on the aircraft carrier exhibit, and my pretty face will probably be up there, but that's neither here nor there. But the 3 strains we came up with were the shooter, the warrior, and the healer. And to me, that just kind of seems appropriate because, at first you start because you want to be a shooter. You get in the fight, you want to be the warrior, and then when you're done with it, you want to heal yourself. You want to be a healer. So I mentioned the healer. That's the indica, and then the Satvia is the warrior, and that's a more energetic strain. With when you want a good alert high, not even a high. High's it's a word we all know what it means, but you want to be alert. So the Satvia does that. That's the warrior. And then the shooter is actually a hybrid, and it's a mix. It's our shebanger. It provides a perfect balance of precision focus and calm, and you always hit your mark. And also, these are pretty cool. If you've been to RJO Apparel, if you go to robertjoneal.com, it'll send you to all this stuff. But at RJO Apparel, we're selling T-shirts and hats now because I did come out with the Fire Like This T-shirt, but now it's the same one. But now instead of holding a bazooka, if you will, he's holding a bazooka joint, and it says Fire Like This, and it comes with 5 pre-roll joints, and that's the indica, so that's the chill out one. And then we also do have these are little tins like you get mints in. So one says Fire Like This, and one says Front Toward Enemy. And that's also got 5 pre-rolls are tight too. The guys rolling are really good, but they're hand rolled. Looks like a machine. They're prime time, and Front Toward Enemy does come with the energetic with the Satvia. So it's cool. It's got Front Toward Enemy, and you can like open it for your friends. And we're required by law to put again, keep it simple, master the basics. We're required by law to put instructions on it. So Front Toward Enemy on the back, it says instructions. Light it. Makes sense. But yeah, I'm excited to get into this, and I hope you can check it out too. You go check out operatorcanna.com right now, and it's there. I'm pumped about this though, like I said, because it's a lot of the guys that I know. And even like if you get sucked down the wormhole of like YouTube, which to me is the Reddit with video, people just bashing each other. A lot of combat vets that are on there talking shit about other combat vets, whether they admit it or not, they might have some personal issues with the war, with what they did in the war, with what they didn't do in the war. Believe it or not, there's a lot of dudes out there with big mouths who have survivor's guilt because they didn't quite go to the fight when they could have. But now that it's over, everyone's a goddamn hero. And everyone's got a microphone. So it is what it is. But even with them, with cannabis, I think a lot of people can chill out, sleep better, and realize that maybe there is your aggression should be channeled somewhere else, as opposed to if and when the fight comes here, you're going to want to be on the same team. And in me being an optimist too, even with dudes that talk shit, and I've been known to talk shit. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong on this one. If we had to get in a fight here and I ran into some other dudes, be it other SEALs, Green Berets, Delta guys, we would fight together and fuck some people up. So I'd rather see people enjoy cannabis and not talk shit about each other. We'll see if that happens. But anyway, yeah, operatorcanna.com. Go check that out too. And if you're in the area too, I'll be announcing. I'm going to go to some of the Flowery stores, do some stuff. We'll come up with some promotion stuff like, buy this product, get a shirt, get a book. Our new hoodies are awesome. We'll figure it out though. But if you're in the area, like in Jersey or Philly or whatever, or shit, if you're in Costa Rica, you want to fly up to New York, I'll be there. I'll just let you guys know. Be nice. Because, we've talked about guns before. I'll have them. But, yeah, check out operatorcanna.com. Let me know what you think. I'm very excited about it. And that's, again, it's part of my routine. I dig it. Every vet that I know that's had issues, everything's good in moderation. They got away from the pills. They got away from the booze. And they started using cannabis responsibly. And it's a really good alternative. Again, there's not a one-size-fits-all, but this is another feather for your marijuana-laced cap. So we need to take 5 here because I want to say my favorite word and also obviously my sponsor, Qualia Senolytic. You've heard of them, right? I've mentioned them before. You better have heard of them. Have you heard about Senolytics yet? You should have if you listened to this show. It's a class of ingredients discovered less than 10 years ago, and they're being called the biggest discovery of our time for promoting healthy aging and enhancing your physical prime. Like, you're invincible, right? Yeah, I was for a while, and then I'm reaching 50. So the aging process is not our friend when it comes to endless energy and productivity, and that is why I do use Qualia Senolytic. If someone would have told me that there are science-backed ingredients that could help me feel 15 years younger in a matter of months, I would have told them they're full of it. I wouldn't have believed it. Then I tried Qualia Senolytic. As we age, everyone accumulates senescent cells in our body, the zombie cells. Senescent cells cause symptoms of aging, like aches and pains, discomfort, slow recoveries from workouts, sluggish mental and physical energy, the middle-aged type feeling. The zombie cells, they're old and worn out, not serving a useful function for our health anymore, but they're taking up space, and they're also taking up nutrients of our healthy cells. Much like pruning the yellowing and dead leaves off of a plant, Qualia Senolytic removes those worn-out senescent cells to allow the rest of them to thrive in our bodies. It takes just 2 months. I honest to God wouldn't feel like I'm 15 years younger, but now I do after using this. So resist aging at the cellular level and try Qualia Senolytic. Go to qualialife.com/the operator. QUALIA life.com/the operator for up to 50% off, and use code the operator checkout for an additional 15% off. For your convenience, Qualia Senolytic is also available at select GNC locations near you, but the best way to do it is qualialife.com/the operator. QUALIA life.com/the operator. qualialife.com/the operator for an extra 15% off your purchase. Go there now and feel younger. And again, we have to get political because everything's coming down to it. And it has affected you a lot more than I think, a lot more than a lot of us realize, because they're uncovering so much fraud, so much waste and abuse by Congress, by the media in this country, by unelected officials and lobbyists, that it's so bad that Washington, D.C., the fangs are out now, because we're talking jail time now. We're talking backroom deals with Republicans too. Vote for this person to get confirmed and maybe we won't prosecute type stuff. Backdoor stuff that's crazy. And the left is losing their minds. The media is going bonkers because they're in on it. They've been in on it, and they've been sheltered. They've been protected. They've been behind the shield. I've always asked people what the media are smart people. They're qualified people. And I was honestly I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. Why are you spouting bullshit that you know is lie? That you know are lies? You got to be getting something out of it, and they're getting kickback. We see it from USAID. You see the blatant fraud. Politico getting paid, New York Times getting paid. What's going on at the Post? All these pundits that are everywhere, they're shitting themselves because they're getting to the point where they're even saying, well, USAID was only 0.7% of our budget. That's a lot of money when you're talking trillions of dollars. You even look at it like people get in a lot of trouble for embezzling thousands, and then you've got millions, like the Madoff people, that billions. Have you ever heard of people embezzling trillions? Well, that's your Congress. That's the media. They're all in on this. And they're freaking out. They're throwing everything out now, man. They're blaming this administration. Did you see that flight that went up to Canada and it crashed and went upside down? I don't want to talk about the airline. We'll just call it Delta. But it turned upside down. It wrecked, big fireball, and it took off from Minneapolis, but it landed in Toronto. So that's a place in Canada. It's a city in Canada. And the plane landed. It's icy. It blew up. It flipped. Don't know why. Glad everyone's alive, man. I know some people got hurt. I'm not trying to make light of it. I mentioned Delta because they banned me a couple years ago for taking a selfie without a mask on their stupid fucking airplane. Who was right, by the way? Anyway, not flying Delta ever again. But I don't want to see him crash either, because the flight attendants, the pilots, are mainly great people. It's just the upper. If you can imagine, the leadership sucks. I actually they still send me Christmas presents for being a million miler. I don't. They can keep their bookings. I don't want to fly Delta anyway. But you'll see with the media blaming Donald Trump for fucking everything now. Media's freaking out. Oh my God, we didn't elect King Elon Musk and then the pay. Don't think for a second those protesters, those morons out front of the Capitol waving American flags. My ass. You're trying to tug at the. We know who you voted for. We know what you think of the American. You guys were burning this thing probably today. Stop that shit. Paid activists. All they're look at these hundreds and thousands and protests. No, they're not. That's the DC swamp out of a job because they got fired because they're useless. And now they're getting paid $50 a day to go hold up a sign someone else made for them. And I'm not trying to get pissed, whatever. And they're doing it Denver, Seattle. I wore this shirt today because this is a guy by the name of George Washington, and he was a general, did a lot of cool shit on Christmas in 1776, shit like that. Fought the Hessians, won the war, Declaration of Independence, that whole chestnut thing. Anyway, the state of Washington. These are these types of people. I had someone today say too, like, boy, if America was invaded, we would stand up and fight. No, not in Washington. We probably wouldn't. You might want to backlog, do a little last man drills till you get to Montana, and you can fight it out there. There's a little sliver of Idaho that might fight it out, but get yourself over to not even Missoula. Make your way to Butte. We'll fight it out. Butte tough, but shit. Where was I on this? Yeah. So Washington State. They want to take the president, George Washington. They want to take one off that because they said. He's out of date. He's outdated, and he's not really relevant. Now, I'm gonna let you for a minute wrap your mind around that. He's not relevant. George Washington is not relevant to the state named after George Washington. The left, man, the crazies, they're not making sense. But so they yell about everything. They blame everybody for everything. It's all Trump's fault. It's all King Musk's fault. A constitutional crisis. They don't even know what the Constitution is. If you're worried about a constitutional crisis, why are you trying to get rid of, the First and the Second Amendments to the Constitution? You don't care about you. All you do is you spin it up with a bucket of money. You send it around to the media, and you, with your talking points, you get every morning, and everyone says constitutional crisis. And then you got Chuck dipshit Schumer out there saying that a Delta Airlines flight that flips over on the ice in Toronto is Donald Trump's fault, because that's all he knows what to say when he can't pull a Corona and a guacamole bowl out of his ass or whatever he did. I don't know if you know this, but Canada's a different country than us. We played them in hockey. Well, it wasn't really much of a game. The Americans beat the shit out of them in the first 9 seconds physically, and then won 3-1 on their home ice, whatever. And again, I hope that Canada becomes our 51st state, because I really want to give their hockey players a better opportunity to play on a good team. But they're saying they won all these titles, the IHL. Dude, Florida won the last Stanley Cup. We don't even have ice in Florida. And before that, Las Vegas, not a lot of ice there. Jokes, guys. Chill out. Kuluku, the Great White North. Bob and Doug McKenzie. Love Canada. I'm just giving you shit. I love Canada. I grew up in Montana, next Canada. But anyway, the point I'm giving you shit, okay? You're allowed to give me shit back at Mikuya if you want. I love my Canadian brothers. Worked a lot with the Canadian Special Forces, by the way, and they do have the longest shot in history. Badass dudes. I have a story about one of my buddies trying to impress the Canadians by chugging the hottest hot sauce in the world. He ended up in medical after a tablespoon. When you start getting into the millions of Scoville units with hot sauce, you want to don't chug it, And for a chaser, maybe milk. It's so hot, I don't think you're supposed to induce vomiting. But anyway, this plane crashes, it flips over, Chuck Schumer says it's Trump's fault. Now, it flew to Canada, so it gets handoff at there's an invisible line. You might not be used to it because of the past 4 years, called a border. And the spine, the keel of any real nation is a border, a strong border, which we're getting now. But once said aircraft flies from Minneapolis, which is the capital of the state of Minnesota, which I'd trade we get Canada, you can have Minnesota. Like, even Reagan didn't win Minnesota. We've talked about this at length. I've had fun in Minnesota too, though. Love the Vikings as well. Got to blow the Gellerhorn, awesome. Not bashing the people. Again, shitty leadership. But once they cross that, and even probably before, they do a handoff with the air traffic towers, right? And so the Canadian air traffic controllers took it. It was on them. And they had to come in. And then, I still don't know what happened. That was a freak accident. That, don't know, wasn't there. Happy everyone's okay. And I know there's some people in some serious conditions. I hope full healing, and I'll add them to my prayers tonight because that was a horrible wreck. But to politicize that and say it's Donald Trump, so Sean Duffy is the Secretary of Transportation. He replaced Buttigieg, who did nothing for 4 years. But obviously, he's on Twitter when he's not chest feeding and just spouting about how it's Trump's fault. First of all, Sean Duffy, he hasn't fired a single air traffic controller, by the way. Not sure if the media told you that, but he didn't. He hasn't. And what they've been saying is, and this is, I don't know why it caused a shitstorm, we're just looking to hire the most qualified people to be air traffic controllers. I've seen them in action. I've heard them talk. I've heard pilots and air traffic control converse. That is a highly stressful job. And they deserve all the credit in the world. They certainly don't need to, look, they don't need to be downsizing. They never should have been hiring people based on anything other than merit, which I think they were. And that's an issue. A lot of planes, crazy too, a lot of accidents lately, and they're blaming them all on Trump. I don't care what president you are. If you're 4 weeks into administration, a lot of this stuff's not your fault. A lot of this is probably bleed over from the they-thems that were there before, the they-them there before you. Or whatever. But yeah, it's just watching this crap now too and having everyone blame. It's all you're seeing, just ride out the storm. Don't take social media too seriously because it's coming, man. Trump's got 100 days. And I love how being politically correct. It's like, well, he shouldn't be taking revenge on his political opponents, but I think he fucking should, man. They tried to kill him a few times and try to throw him in jail and ruin his life. So go after these fuckers. So occasionally on The Operator, we talk about guns, and that's always an interesting conversation. I've mentioned that I love pump action shotguns for home defense, which I do, and I have them very close to me. I've got all kinds of guns. I like a pump action shotgun, but I love my pistols. I love my ARs, all that good stuff. I'm sure you love yours as well, and I'm sure we can debate everything, and someone's right and I'm wrong or whatever. Especially now, I saw someone say, how many guns did Jesus have? And it's like, well, obviously not enough to keep the government from killing him. Anyway, guns are important to have, and everything with preparation, taking care of your family, because you are your first line of defense and sometimes your last. So I'm excited to tell you about my newest sponsor, Stopbox. And it's a way to keep your gun secure. I have kids. I have kids of all ages. I'm serious. Baby up to college. And I have all types of firearms. And like the issue that I've had before Stopbox was, where do I keep I want them accessible, because one of my sayings is if it isn't on you, you don't own it. You don't have it. So you need to have it close. And where do you keep it with guns around? Stopbox is awesome because it's a way to keep your gun safe and accessible. It's a lock, it's a box, it's a different variety of things. It's 100% mechanical, so you don't need to worry about it not working when you need it, but also little hands won't get into it. It's vehicle safe. There's a vehicle safe box, a chamber lock, other essential gear designed to keep you prepared and protected wherever you are. And this is a patented mechanical hand gesture code lock that's instinctive to use in the dark and under stress. And you got to figure, imagine when you wake up and something's going on, you have that little bit of fogginess. This is an instinct. This is muscle memory. And you don't need to worry about charging anything. You don't need to worry, are the batteries fresh? You don't need to be, God forbid, imagine fumbling with keys, just waking up and trying to get to your weapons. All Stopbox products, they're made in the USA as well. So you get the highest quality. There's no foreign interference. And you're creating jobs here. It's just USA. You know what I mean? And you can also travel with Stopbox. It's TSA compliant and it's padlock accessible. So you can take your gun in your check bag, bring them anywhere, they're fine. For a limited time only now with Stopbox, our listeners they're getting a crazy deal. Not only do you get 10% off your entire order when you use code THEOPERATOR at stopboxusa.com, stopboxusa.com, but they will also give you a buy one, get one free for their Stopbox Pro. That's 10% off and a free Stopbox Pro when you use code THEOPERATOR at stopboxusa.com. Write that down. Go check it out. I'm serious. Stopboxusa.com. Discover a better way to balance security and readiness with Stopbox. Stopboxusa.com. Be prepared and protected wherever you are with stopboxusa.com. Oh, but I don't like sounding like we're beating a dead horse, but it is everywhere, and I hope that that people are paying attention. I hope you're paying attention. I'm trying to say everything that I can. It's hard to get a lot of truth, especially if you're getting the truth off of social media, because I don't know if you know this, a lot of stuff out there is bullshit. And so, like, what was one I saw? I have sources, places, and I watch stuff and I read crap and whatnot, doing my research. But we've got people on both sides that won't be happy regardless. I saw something, I forget where I heard it though, but even the far right is trying to say that Chelsea Clinton's worth $70 million or something like that. I don't think that's true. She's been working and she will get money from her parents. They've been working too. But to say someone's worth $70 million is a lot of money. The way that we throw around the words like billionaire gets to me, because there's not as many as you think, and $1 billion is a lot of money. But like the way that, if we're not talking trillions nowadays, it doesn't even seem like we're scratching the surface on anything. But $1 billion is a lot of money, and anyway. You got to be careful where you get your information. And that's especially true with the media right now, because the way the media works, the Acela media is what a lot of people call it. And that's, if you're not familiar with the East Coast, the Acela is the high-speed train, I think, that goes it might start in Boston and heads all the way down to D.C. And that's, the press is in New York and D.C., the politicians are in D.C., that's where the lobbyists are. And so the media who takes that train, they know New York, they know Boston, they know New England, the East Coast liberals in D.C., and D.C. is all Democrats. Even if you elect Republicans, and for the record, I'm not a Republican either, I am a registered independent, thank you very much. Even if you elect Republicans, Northern Virginia and Southern Maryland, and then the District of Columbia, our nation's capital, all the workers are Democrats. Like, we're talking double digit in numbers for every department there. So if you want to be a federal worker, chances are you need to be a Democrat. That's the way that DC works. That's the way the media works. Or you're just not going to get in. Being a federal employee is a pretty good deal, because before now you couldn't get fired. And you get pensions, you can pay your rent, and you get all that nonsense that comes with the working in our federal government. But the point I'm making now is you're going to get a lot of pushback from that part of the world, because as far as New York, D.C. is concerned, and Los Angeles, the rest of the United States is, the flyover states are all the Midwest, and that's the way they think. So you're going to, now that a lot of people in D.C. have never run businesses, and they don't know how to manage a payroll. They don't know that if you're missing money and get audited, you're going to get fired, especially as much as we're missing. I mean, right now, the Elon Musk is saying that the Department of Government Efficiency has found almost $5 trillion unaccounted for. Now we're talking trillions with a T. And the media's flipping out. I mean, we're at a point now that most of America wants this to happen. And me personally, I want to see some high-profile people being walked to prison for the amount of money they've stolen from you. And you need to take this serious. Because right now, the media's flipping out. The Acela media's flipping out. The politicians are flipping out. Because now, all these inefficient people who vote Democrat, and what they do is they vote Democrat, they print money, they tax people, they put them into BS USAID type places, and we start funding like millions of dollars for voting awareness in Liberia. All right, that's in Western Africa. I've been to Liberia. I had to swim in there with my team when I was at SEAL Team 4, actually, to get people out of the embassy because of a civil war and, cannibalism. Like hacking people up in the streets and eating them, but we better send millions of your tax dollars over there so that we can make them aware of their rights to vote. But so the thing that's going on right now is now you've got Elon Musk and Donald Trump are billionaires, right? And they build things. Elon Musk is the richest person in the world. You've got someone like AOC calling him the dumbest person. The richest man in the world's not dumb. He made billions. And as far as stealing when they scream constitutional crisis and he's stealing your information, well, he used to own PayPal, founded PayPal. He had your info there. You didn't really care. You don't care that your kids are giving their info to TikTok to China. But now you got a problem when two businessmen come in here. And what the government is flipping out about now is the action, the efficiency. Work's getting done and it's quick. And they also don't like that Elon Musk is an advisor. He's not firing people. He's not cutting jobs. He's seeing stuff. He's getting the problem that a lot of Democrats have now too is math tells the truth. Remember when they tried with their DEI to tell us that math is racist? Math is not racist. Math's like a bullet, man. It tells the truth every time. And they don't like it. They don't like the efficiency. And Elon Musk sends people in there with an algorithm to show the ways, brings it to the president who is in charge, and then he's got to go through Congress. So you don't think that Elon Musk is a king, but the media is going to tell you that because what they like to do is force feed you BS over and over and over and over, so eventually you believe it. And I have friends that believe it because they still believe the crap that the left-wing media is pushing out. I think Sheryl Crow just sold her Tesla and donated the money to NPR, which is a government-funded, your taxpayer. Sorry, I hate government-funded because the government doesn't make money. It's unless they print it. But that's a federally funded. If celebrities are bitching about the elected president and they're making donations to NPR, why are you funding it with your taxes? It's waste. It's part of the left-wing self-licking ice cream cone. It's going to bring up the BS. It's sending stuff to different. I mean, we're the most advanced country in the world, and we have the smartest minds and the best engineers, and we're $36 trillion in debt. I mean, if that gets up to 50, which is where it's headed, life as you know it in this country is over. And I mean, when this economy collapses, you think it's bad now. But because of President's Day, where's Congress right now? Well, they're on recess. I mean, they're complaining about this in D.C., but, we got to take recess because it was President's Day and we worked too hard. So they took the week off, and then they roll in the protesters, the paid protesters. Who do they put at the forefront? Why is it always transgender activists that need to be at the front of every debate that the Democrats want? We're getting government efficiency, how they're wasting your money, how people should be in prison, and they send the drag queens out. I don't understand. I think what the Democrats are realizing is that their base actually wants efficiency too. Wouldn't it be nice if that $5 trillion unaccounted for, if they found where that went? Imagine getting a rebate, getting money back, and not the shit. April 15th. That's money that you should have kept anyway. But getting a rebate from stuff they've wasted, you'd be cool with that, right? Ask yourself that. A personal thing down to your dinner table. If you got a check from the government, would you be happy? Probably. Would you vote to keep efficiency in D.C.? Probably. Would you vote to break up D.C.? Probably. And that's what the country wants. But then the small amount of people who have a lot to lose, who have so much invested in this corruption, those are the ones freaking out. It's when Washington, D.C. has got a big set of double doors in front of a room, and Elon Musk is knocking on it, and then you hear people scrambling around inside, flushing the drugs down the toilet, building their stories for how they did it. And this is just USAID right now. They're going into Social Security, finding out we're paying people who are over 200 years old, a bunch of waste there, more rebates you should get from savings. Not happening. But wait till they get to the Pentagon, Pete Hegseth's digging. Wait till we find out what actually happened in Afghanistan with the alliances, all this stuff. I mean, the stuff they're doing right now with Russia, with the Secretary of State, with Tim Walz, the National Security Advisor, meeting up with them. They're trying to rebuild damage that's been done, because you can only call people Hitler for so long before they take a little bit of offense to it. All that stuff whatever. So that's just what's going on right now. And I don't know how you cannot be for this. The government's been looking at your paychecks forever, taking money from you, auditing you. Why would you be upset that we're finally auditing them and holding them responsible? Doesn't make sense to me. It shouldn't make sense to you. That's just what I'm saying. Yeah, so hopefully we can make sense of it, and that's where we're at. I really hope people can wise up. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with what's happening with holding these people accountable. And even when they show up at the places, like, again, scurrying like little roaches, and you've got heads of places that are resigning rather than confront what's happening, trying to avoid the what have you. So it's interesting. Again, I'm going to find some better topics to talk about than politics, because we're going to get a lot of this, especially with the resistance. Wouldn't it be crazy if instead of calling for revolution like Chris Matthews just did, and like the former head of the Social Security, which is a Ponzi scheme, by the way. Don't get they're going to throw that at you too. By the way, it's destined for failure. Paying out more than it's bringing in. A Ponzi scheme that was started a long time ago, but because it's a talking point, they're going to hit you with, he's trying to take away Social Security. Hitting $50 trillion in debt will impact you a lot more than Social Security going down, because the dollar will be meaningless, and that's bad. But if instead of calling for revolution, imagine if the country just, you know what, we've tried these ridiculous policies before. We've laundered money before. We're already rich. Let's just try for 100 days to work together as a country. If you can get some Democrats on the side of the Republicans and the country actually cared about the country, man, some good stuff would happen. Because for the Democrats to get back to where they wanted, they got to run somebody who's relatable. Because they're always bad-mouthing Donald Trump, first president to go to the Super Bowl. He went to NASCAR, Daytona, and did a lap in the limo, which is awesome. He always goes to UFC fights because he legit enjoys them. Well, why don't Democrats do that? Why do you think that is? I'm serious, and I'm not trying to badmouth anybody, but why don't Democrats go to these things? Is it because the actual public doesn't like them? We're paying Social Security to fake people with Social Security numbers. How many of those people are voting? I mean, Joe Biden was the most popular president, and I'm going to keep reminding you this, the most popular president in the history of presidents. 81 million votes. That he was the most popular. Imagine if he went to a UFC fight. Imagine if he went to Daytona. Imagine if he went to the Super Bowl. They don't go because they'll get booed because they're not relatable. They got to get back to being relatable. You got to get back to, instead of talking about the middle class, but then cozying up with big pharma and Democrats. When did like Rage Against the Machine become the machine? You've got the left cheering for bigger government, cheering to take more of your money. I mean, what was the percentage for tax for the Boston Tea Party, the revolution, taxation without representation? You're sending almost half of your money to these clowns. I hope people listen to this stuff. And this is your money. Get a rebate. And Democrats need to get someone who wants to work. Stephen A. Smith from ESPN was asked if he would run for president. He's actually relatable, and I like listening to him. I think he's a smart dude. He's relatable. He might get some cheers if he shows up at sporting events because that's what he does for a living. But the thing that got me, though, just with they asked him if he would want to be president. He said he would take it, but in not so many words. He would take it, but he doesn't want the process of going out and running a campaign. And I don't blame him. That's got to be a pain in the ass because you got to be on all the time. You got to kiss all the babies, take all your emergency because you're shaking hands and all that stuff. And he just doesn't want to do it, but he'd take the job like if he was anointed like Kamala Harris, which is kind of a funny state of affairs that actually can happen because she didn't get one vote to be the president. I mean, the most popular president in the world was taken down in a coup. And then they gave us they gave you Kamala Harris. Because, I mean, my laugh just now sounded like her cackling, right? Never matter. Not the best thing. Total coup. That is a constitutional crisis, but no. Auditing the government's the constitutional crisis. So just keep your little earbuds out for your spidey senses up. When you hear constitutional crisis, just turn up the volume and listen to what that jackwagon is saying, whomever it may be. Constitutional crisis equals someone who doesn't want to go to jail. And they repeat the same thing over and over, so it's frustrating. And then I'm going to close with this story because it points out the difference between efficiency and then making everything about the way someone looks and the diversity instead of merit. I heard this yesterday about Barack Obama's presidential library, which pretty much every president does. His still isn't built yet, and he's been out of office for a while. It's in Chicago, and it's just showing that he just said we're going to get a certain amount of each person, basically what he said, he wants the construction crew to represent the city of Chicago. That's fair. I don't have a problem with that. But then he starts hiring people based on how they look and not their merit. And it was supposed to be done by now. It was supposed to cost $350 million. And he's getting donations from famous people in Chicago. Millions of dollars in donations, and it's still not built. It's up to $800 million. So he said $350 million. It's up to $800 million. It's going to be $1 billion. And that's just how it works with these policies. This is a private sector thing that should be doing, right? Raising money for this and having a private construction team do it, I think, right? Why can't they? Well, they're not doing it the right way because he's never run a business. So is it going to get done? It looks like crap. They're going to be over $1 billion. That's what they tell you. They tell you a certain amount and then they triple it. And then you don't know about it. And then all of a sudden you're funding voter awareness in Liberia, Sesame Street in Iraq, transgender plays in Colombia, cocaine fish, whatever the hell they were doing with cocaine. I saw Jordan Belfort on TV talking about, they said they spent a couple $1 million seeing how some animal would react on cocaine. And they said they wanted more sex. And Jordan Belfort was like, I could have told you that for a lot less. Literally, the Wolf of Wall Street can tell you how they would respond to cocaine. You don't need to fund it by putting up puppies' noses or whatever the hell they're doing. But that's just the stuff we pay attention to, man. So, have a great week here. Stay away from cocaine puppies, I guess. And you're never out of the fight.